Good morning. It is approaching the end of the year. We've got 2 months left of the year by the time you're watching this, or just under 2 months. So I thought I would set myself a little bit of an ambitious kind of final TBR. I will still be doing my fictionary TBR for December, but this is kind of an idea of the books that I want to read for the remainder of the year. So I've got a stack of books next to me. I've also got a couple of books that haven't arrived yet because they're not out. I'm looking at this and I'm daunted because I've picked some chunky reads. But let's just jump right in. We'll start with the paperbacks because they seem slightly, minorly less daunting. Maybe. In fact, I think the first paperback is possibly the most daunting. But the first book I would like to try and read before the end of the year is The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. I read The Shadow of the Gods, which is the first book in this series, earlier this year and really enjoyed it. And honestly, the main reason that this book is on this TBR is so that I don't forget too much of the events in the first book before reading this one. I can't really tell you what this one's about because I would spoil the first one, but this series in general is a Norse-inspired fantasy series that is following multiple different characters on their journey of vengeance. There's magic, there's battles, it's epic, it's a good time. I really enjoyed the first one. It just felt really gripping. I felt really invested in their stories. The way it ended has definitely made me need this one. I'm surprised I haven't read it sooner, but I think the size might have something to do with it. This is a trilogy and I think the third one isn't yet out. I don't know when it comes out. I'm gonna check that. Bloodsworn book 3. Oh, it doesn't even have a name yet. Any rumors on book 3? Reddit will tell me. Reddit's totally reliable. Okay, basically nobody knows. Cool. Okay, so there is a book 3, but I don't know when that's out. Anyway, this is book 1. Well, this is a random order. This is not in specific order, but this is one of the books I would like to try and read before the year is out. One of the other books is Kara Hunter's Murder in the Family. I have seen this one everywhere at the moment, and I think for good reason. It's a mixed media murder mystery, and I think that there's kind of like reader audience participation. It looks so cool. Look, there's I love mixed media. I mean, look. It sounds so good. The tagline on the front of it is "One body, 6 experts. Can you solve the case before they do?" How fun would this be for a reading vlog? That's not me definitely committing to one, but I feel like that would be a really fun reading vlog. I can't tell you what this one's about. This is following somebody who's found dead in the garden of their family home, leaving behind a wealthy older widow and 3 stepchildren, but nobody saw anything. Now the secret will be revealed live on camera because years later, a group of experts are re-examining the evidence on a true crime show with shocking results. Does the team know more than they've been letting on, or does the truth lie closer to home? And then it says, can you solve the case before they do? The truth will blow your mind. I'm so excited for this. I think this one I'm actually the most excited for out of all of these because it just sounds like it's going to be such a fun time. I mean, I'm excited for all of them, but this sounds especially it sounds good. It sounds good. Before we go any further into this video, I want to tell you a little bit about today's sponsor. This part of the video is sponsored by Serious Readers. This is my Serious Light. It is the high definition model and I love this so much. I've been using this for around about a year now and I genuinely use it every single night and most mornings that I'm reading as well. This makes such a difference to my routine. The clocks have gone back. I'm spending more time inside in the mornings and in the evenings, and being able to replicate daylight with this light makes a massive difference. It feels natural and it feels so warm and cozy and it looks really nice as well. I am trying to do more reading in the evening before bed and also just as I wake up, which can sometimes be around 7 a.m, so it's still pretty dark outside, and being able to have the high definition light just allows me to do that much easier without feeling like I'm straining my eyes. Serious Lights use daylight wavelength technology, which replicates the daylight spectrum as closely as technically possible. The high definition model has made such a difference to me and it looks really good in my space. It's easy to turn on and off as well as to adjust the beam and the brightness. I can't recommend the Serious Lights range enough. Honestly, it's made such a difference to my reading routine, my general evenings, my space. I just love my high definition light so much. If you would like to receive £100 off a high definition light and get free delivery, you can use my code SR431 or use the link in my description. Thank you so much, Serious Readers, for sponsoring this part of the video. The next one is The Watchmaker of Filigree Street. This is by Natasha Pulley, and this is on this list because my mum read this and absolutely loved it and said that I need to give it a go. I honestly can't even remember what it's about, but she keeps saying to me how much she thinks I'd love it. She listened to it as an audiobook, so I might go down that route, but I just felt like it balanced out some of the heavier themes that I've got on this TBR. This is set in 1883. Thaniel Steepleton returns to his tiny flat to find a gold pocket watch on his pillow. When the watch saves Thaniel's life from a blast that destroys Scotland Yard, he goes in search of his maker, Kaita Mori, a kind, lonely Japanese immigrant. Meanwhile, Grace Carrow is sneaking into an Oxford library, desperate to prove the existence of the luminiferous ether before her mother can force her to marry. As the lives of these three characters become entwined, events spiral out of control until Thaniel is torn between loyalties, futures, and opposing geniuses. I think it sounds like a really good time. I think it sounds like it's going to be quite whimsy and brilliant, and I feel like that would be maybe a nice December Christmassy read. Not that it's Christmassy as such, but it gives off that kind of vibe that it might be a nice book to read around that time of year. This next one, it's a bit of a commitment. It's a little bit of a commitment. It's the entire Percy Jackson series. Actually, is there a new book now? It's the 5 Percy Jackson books. We have got The Lightning Thief, The Sea of Monsters, The Titan's Curse, The Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian. Why could I be reading these books? Oh my god, what could it be? I have no idea. What could it possibly be? These are following Percy Jackson, who is a demigod. He is the son of Poseidon and he gets to go and train with other demigods. I have read the first book, but I have not read the other books. I know. So that is the plan. This is definitely happening. I can confirm this is definitely happening. It's happening. So that's all the paperbacks that I hope to read for the rest of the year. Okay, this next one, Lauren from Fiction Team, I think is gonna be really happy about. This is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This is the beautiful Fairy Loot edition, which every time I see it on my shelves really catches my eye because I don't have any other books that are in this pretty much monochrome colour scheme apart from the foiling. I just think it's really pretty and really eye-catching. Anyway, I've honestly forgotten what this is about apart from it has journalists in it, but Lauren keeps telling me how good it is. Everybody else seems to be so into this at the moment. I want to know what the hype's about, so I've put it in this video. 2 rival journalists find love through a magical connection. Their fate depends on their facing the depths of hell together. Okay, so it's a enemies to lovers, an epic enemies to lovers fantasy novel filled with hope and heartbreak and the unparalleled power of love. It's the power of love. It's following an 18-year-old Iris Winnow who all she wants to do is hold her family together. Her brother is forced to fight on behalf of the gods, now missing from the front line, and her mother drowning her sorrows. Iris's best bet is winning the columnist promotion in the Oath Gazette. When Iris's letters to her brother fall into the wrong hands, those of the handsome but cold Roman Kit, her rival at the paper, an unlikely magical connection forms. Expelled into the middle of a mystical war, typewriters in tow, can their bond withstand the fight of the fate of mankind? Well, that's a good sentence. The fight of the fate of mankind. And most importantly, love. I don't know how I feel about romancy fantasy stuff. Like, I don't need romance in something to enjoy it, but it sounds like it could be a fun time. Everyone says it's really good, so that one. You're probably sick of seeing this next one in videos, but it's Sundial by Katrina Ward. I really loved The Last House on Needless Street by Katrina Ward, which I read last year, and I think I'd go as far as saying it's one of my favourite books of all time. I just thought it was just brilliant. It was so strange and so interesting. I have a lot of good things to say about that book. So by that stretch, you'd probably assume that I would be quite excited about Sundial, and I was when I bought it. I just haven't read it yet because that is the bookworm shame. But this one, I would love to try and get to this by the end of the year. I will say, I don't think it's realistic to get to every single one of these books by the end of the year because, one, I buy books like nobody's business, and I'm probably going to add more books to this list throughout the next month and a half of this video being live anyway, and 2, I don't like setting too rigid a TBR. Like, whether I can get these onto Fictionary or not is another question. By the time you're watching this, I will have filmed my November Fictionary, but at the moment I haven't, so I don't know if I've managed to get any of these on there or not, but I am hopeful that at least some of these can be read before the end of the year. Anyway, Sundial. I've forgotten what this one's about too. I'm awful. This is just me reading you bluffs. You can't escape the desert. You can't escape Sundial. Rob fears for her daughter. For Callie, who collects tiny bones and whispers to imaginary friends. For Annie, because she fears what Callie might do to her. Rob sees a darkness in Callie, one that reminds her of the family she left behind. She decides to take Callie back to her childhood home, to Sundial, deep in the Mojave Desert, and there she will make a terrible choice. Callie is afraid of her mother. Rob has begun to look at her strangely, to tell her secrets about her past that both disturb and excite her, and Callie is beginning to wonder if only one of them will leave Sundial alive. I mean, I really loved The Last House on Needless Street, so why have I not picked this book up yet? Also, pretty edition. This is the WATERSTONES exclusive signed edition, and it's beautiful. Ta-da! I really would love to read this one this year. I just need to actually do that. Okay, next up we have got The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. I am so excited about this one. I thought I was going to have to do a reread of the whole series, of the Dark Shade of Magic series, which is 3 books long. It's a fantastic series, but it has been years and years and years and years since I read that series, and I really just want to read this one next. I don't really want to do a reread because it's still vaguely in my head. I just can't really remember the key events of it. And I have since been told that there is a fantastic recap that V. Schwab has done to help people, so I'm going to consume that and then read this. This is a new book following the events of A Darker Shade of Magic. It's set some years after. I think the blurb tells me exactly how many. It's set 7 years after, and I don't think I want to tell you what this one's about, just in case you haven't read A Darker Shade of Magic, but this is a fantastic series following multiple different types of London and the issues that come alongside that. This is the WATERSTONES exclusive edition, by the way. Can we take a moment? It's so beautiful. Just, it's stunning. Anyway, this one, very high up on the excitement list. Very chonk. But I'm so looking forward to this. Okay, last physical book, because the other 2 are ones that haven't actually arrived yet. This one I keep putting on TBRs. I keep doing it, and I haven't read it yet. This is the Book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Ozeki. This one did it win an award last year? I mean, it says it's shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize. I'm pretty sure that it won something maybe last year. And I haven't read it yet. I keep wanting to read this one. It sounds brilliant. It sounds so strange and interesting. And I just have not got to it yet, so maybe these will be the months. Maybe. This is set 1 year after the death of our main character's beloved musician father. 13-year-old Benny O begins to hear voices. The voices belong to the things in his house: a sneaker, a broken Christmas ornament, a piece of wilted lettuce. Although Benny doesn't understand what these things are saying, he can sense their emotional tone. Some are pleasant, a gentle hum or coo, but others are snide, angry, and full of pain. When his mother develops a hoarding problem, the voices grow more clamorous. At first, Benny tries to ignore them, but soon the voices follow him outside the house, onto the street, and at school, driving him at last to seek refuge in the silence of a large public library where objects are being well behaved and know how to speak in whispers. There Benny discovers a strange new world where things happen. He falls in love with a mesmerising street artist with a smug pet ferret who uses the library as her performance space. He meets a homeless philosopher poet who encourages him to ask important questions and finds his own voice among the many. And he meets his very own book, a talking thing who narrates Benny's life and teaches him to listen to the things that truly matter. I just think that sounds brilliant. I think it sounds so interesting and unique, and I really want to read this one as well. I want to read them all, but I don't have enough hours in the day. That is all the physical books that I want to read. There are 2 that I don't have copies of yet because they are not out yet. One of those is Heartstopper Volume 5 by Alice Osmond. I'm so excited for this, to be back with Nick and Charlie. This is just such a beautiful graphic novel series, and I enjoy it so much. If you haven't read the series yet, if you haven't watched the Netflix show, go and do both of those things, trust me. It's just so good. This is not only about the love story between Nick and Charlie, but also about their friends, their time at school, looking at their futures. It's just such a beautiful series, and I'm very excited for Volume 5 later this year. The other book is Good Material by Dolly Alderton. I read Ghosts by Dolly Alderton, was it last year? Might have been last year, maybe the year before. That was a Patreon book club pick. I think it was last year. And it was so good. It was so relatable. I haven't actually yet read anything else by Dolly Alderton, which is a shame because I really enjoyed that. Again, I think I've got this kind of fear that because I enjoyed one book by that author so much, I won't enjoy the subsequent ones as much because the first one I read is held in such high esteem. But this one sounds really good. I've got the blurb behind me, so sorry, I'm kind of just going to look through the camera. Every relationship has one beginning. This one had 2 endings. Andy loves Jen, Jen loves Andy, and he can't work out why she stopped. Now he is 1, without a home, and 2, waiting for his stand-up career to take off. 3, wondering why everyone else around him seems to have grown up while he wasn't looking. Set adrift on the sea of heartbreak, and at a time when everything he thought he knew about women and flat sharing and his friendships has transformed beyond recognition. Andy clings to the idea of solving the puzzle of their broken relationship, because if he can find the answer to that, then maybe Jen can find her way back to him. Andy still has a lot to learn, not least his ex-girlfriend's side of the story. I think that sounds like it's going to be a really interesting approach. Dolly Alderton's writing, from what I have read, is just fantastic, so I'm really excited to read more from them as a writer. Alright, that is all the books that I'm hoping to read over the next part of the year, which is only like a month and a half, as I keep saying. There's so many books. If someone could just give me like an extra month, or just provide me with longer days and more energy to get through those longer days, those things would be very helpful right now. I would love to know what books you are still hoping to read in the comments, and if you've read any of these and you have any recommendations for me on which ones I should go for first, please do let me know. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you so much to my patrons for making every video possible. I will see you in the next one.